Trump continues to baselessly claim that Antifa had infiltrated and took part in what occurred in the Capitol last week, January 6th, when insurrectionists had breached the Capitol building. Trump privately and falsely blamed Antifa people for storming the Capitol. In a tense 30-minute plus phone call this morning with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Trump trotted out the Antifa line. But shockingly, McCarthy put an end to it. He said, it's not Antifa, it's MAGA. I know, I was there. And of course, the FBI confirmed Friday that there's absolutely no evidence that Antifa activists were involved. A White House official said that the call was tense and aggressive at times, with Trump ranting about election fraud and an exasperated McCarthy cutting in to say, stop it, it's over, the election is over. And that's something that should have taken place way earlier, but at least McCarthy is telling the truth in this context.
Yeah, I love the fact that he said he knows that it was MAGA because he was there, because he is MAGA. I mean, it just works out so good in that particular statement. But I mean, no, I think you said it in the last story, Anna. They are trying to get on the record for history to make it seem as though they were on the right side of history the entire time. They have not been. They have been aiding Donald Trump. And the fact that it went so far as them being willing to overturn the results of the election should be the milestone and the benchmark by which we determine their interpretation through history. They tried to destroy America. Even Kevin McCarthy, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, all of them stood by while Donald Trump tried to overturn those results from the election, and they helped him. That's what we need to remember about them throughout history.
You know, one other thing that he mentioned was that it wasn't just MAGA people, it was also the even more extreme component of these MAGA supporters, the QAnon conspiracy theorists. So he called that out by name. That is that it was in fact right-wing extremists and QAnon adherents, and he urged members to stop spreading false information to the contrary. I also want to just note that I never trust Republican lawmakers, especially like Kevin McCarthy, to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Remember, there are all sorts of companies and banks that have now said that they will no longer do business with Republican lawmakers who challenge the Electoral College votes on that day. You have companies and donors, for instance, which, by the way, I'm not giving them credit because these donors are full of it. But some of the Republican donors are saying that they're no longer going to contribute any campaign donations to Republican lawmakers who have engaged in this reckless behavior. So I think a lot of what's happening now with the rhetoric coming from Kevin McCarthy is more about ensuring that there isn't more damage to Republican members of Congress, as opposed to just doing the right thing, ensuring that they stop spreading lies, which then further radicalizes the right wing in this country, which of course then leads to more violence.
Yeah, and it's that vicious feedback cycle, right? That feedback loop that no one from the Republican side seems to be willing to step in and stop, except for the point where now 5 people are dead and they actually made it to the steps of the Capitol. So the real question is how far will it go next time? And if we don't make any concerted efforts to actually hold people accountable in a substantive way, we're gonna find ourselves dealing with an even more organized insurrection.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the proponents of getting rid of these like QAnon Twitter pages and ensuring that these conspiracy theories stop spreading throughout these social media platforms so rapidly is to ensure that they don't have. It's not as easy for them to coordinate and plan more of these riots moving forward. I think that there might be some truth to that, although I would argue that these are people who seem pretty hell-bent and will find a way to communicate and organize these types of awful events. But I do think that Donald Trump not being able to tweet the dog whistles, to tweet all sorts of messages where he'll have that little line of plausible deniability. But the rest of the tweet is just encouraging people to engage in violence. I mean, we've seen that for 4 years straight. And I've had enough of it. You'll see like on message boards for the right wing, they'll if Trump has said, hey, go out there and condemn the violence, they don't trust that he actually wants to condemn the violence because he'll always have a statement that encourages them to keep engaging in the violence. And then he'll say, I don't want the violence. No, he loves the violence.
Yeah, and you know what? If Donald Trump's time off of Twitter is anything like mine, he should be refreshed, rested. I'm sure his edges are coming back and he's starting to look good again because Twitter was toxic with him and it was toxic without him. So this is for his own good.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.